by shining a spotlight on how we create beliefs and teaching how we can train our brains to reinvent reality. He holds degrees in neuroscience, psychology, and cognitive sciences and is an avid yogi. Like all of you, most of you, or maybe some of you. He loves using this laboratory called Life to conduct her experiments to better understand the mind and how we create meaningful experiences. Speaking about the art of selfing skillfully, please give a warm welcome to Divya Darling.
Hello. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? How we answer this question will limit or liberate us. You'll soon discover how certain identities imprison us and how we can set ourselves free when we enlighten up to who we truly are at our core. Many people answer this question by sharing geographical history. For example, I'm an American expat. I grew up in Washington, D.C. I'm an Australian citizen. I lived in Sydney for 7 years. And since the beginning of 2018, Bali has been my home. It's also quite common to respond to this question by considering your relations, especially in Eastern countries. Like, I'm the daughter of Gobind and Pooja, the sister of Manpreet and Simran, the wife of Michael, stepmom of Bryson, and the cousin to countless Sindhis across the globe. A more Western way to respond would be by stating your occupation, your functional role in society. I'm the founder of the Intrinsic Brilliance Institute, where I work as a transformational brain trainer, teaching people practical tools to reinvent reality. Perhaps you might respond by sharing your interests and passions. I love yoga, stand-up comedy, cold coconuts, warm chai, and looking at lolcats. And whilst all of these are true, they are only relative truths. What might it be like for us to consider the question in terms of absolute truth? And what exactly is that? I'm going to surmise this audience is slightly familiar with the concept of energy. The idea that everything that appears to be solid is in fact atoms vibrating at a coherent frequency, which our brains then interpret as individual objects. According to cognitive neuroscientist Anil Seth, we don't just passively perceive the world, we actively generate it. The idea that I end here and you begin there is a very convincing optical illusion that our consciousness has created for us. So how can we truly see through the tricks of the mind? I experienced this when completing my degrees in neuroscience and psychology at Oberlin, a liberal arts school in Ohio. Oberlin is well known for encouraging critical thinking and questioning norms. Essentially, it's an incubator for social and environmental activists like me. One night, my roommate and I were in our dorm room after coming home from a senior symphony concert when she confessed how much like a fraud she felt to be amongst people winning Watson fellowships, designing biofuel cars, and all sorts of other spectacular feats to make the world a better place. I was awestruck that someone as amazing as her could be feeling that way, because that wasn't my experience at all. Far from it. Rather than feeling intimidated by my peers, I felt inspired. I was so proud of being an OB. And I became really curious about how it was possible for us to share the same environment while she felt inferior and I felt exceptional. And that's when I noticed the structural distinction between what she was doing and what I was. You see, I didn't just go to Oberlin like she did. I was an OB. I fully identified with it. All other OBs were an extension of me. Their accomplishments were my accomplishments. And this difference in thinking is what created this contrastive experience that we both had. And I surmise is a key contributor to the anxiety she still experiences today. This is just one of many anecdotes that reveal how we choose to identify directly impacts how uplifted, resilient, and encouraged we feel daily. When we enlighten up to this fact, we liberate ourselves from false limitations. A concept I'm exploring in my upcoming book is called selfing. It's the process of recognizing our external identity as fluid and flexible rather than fixed and finite. And here's why this is really important. Our world is evolving at an exponential rate. In the 6 years between 2016 and 2022, there will be as much change as there was in the century between 1900 and 2000. So how do we face this challenge and stay steady when everything is constantly shifting? By seeing ourselves as a part of a larger whole, something bigger than us. So during times when things are changing, when our bodies stop looking or functioning the way they once did, when a loved one dies, rather than having a meltdown, we still have a sense of okayness. When we're fully identified with our fleeting, ever-changing self, we are our most fragile. Think about it. Whether your younger self was obsessed with Polly Pockets or Pokemon, you are not the same person you used to be. And yet beneath the surface, there is the never-changing self, the you that was there when you were 2 and when you were 12, witnessing. Part of selfing skillfully is being identified with presence itself. It's the knowing that you and I are one and the same. That's the truest essence of Namaste. The infinite intelligence in me sees that in you too. So that our lights can shine bright even in the darkest, stormiest nights, I invite you to enlighten up. Remind yourself now of how expansive you truly are, and you'll reinvent your reality. Thank you.